Hello, writers and readers. I'm freelance fiction editor Miranda Darrow, here with my weekly video about writing, editing, and the writing life. Last week's video gave genre tips for writing books that featured time travel, or our featured genre of the month. This week's video is my list of time travel book recommendations, a great tool for authors looking for comp titles, and also a source for adding new books to your to-be-read list for readers who are looking for new books to read. Subscribers to my YouTube channel know that I pull this list of recommendations from my own database of books that I've read in the past decade. So sometimes it's a short list, but this week I had to narrow it down to get it to 20 so that it wasn't too long. So let's get to it. First up, it's How to Lose the Time War by Amal El Mathra and Max Gladstone. This is a novella. It's just over 200 pages, and it's written as an epistolary. It's a series of letters between agents of red and blue, the warring factions that started, and these letters started as taunting each other, and they ended up showing genuine affection for each other, and so much more. Number two, Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshihaku Kawagauchi. This is a unique time travel angle in that this story, the patrons of this coffee shop can visit with another person whom they've met at the coffee shop before, and they can chat either in the past to give somebody insights that's something that they might need, or they could travel and chat in the future trying to find out something to help their path. But the visit can only last for as long as it takes for the coffee to get cold. Time to invest in some insulated cups. Next up is Kindred by Octavia Butler. This is an old one, published in 1979, but there was a graphic novel adaptation that came out in 2017. The main character is a Black woman living in the 1970s, which was the present when this novel was written, and she unwittingly travels back in time to the slavery era, where she unknowingly saves from drowning a child who is, in fact, her own great-great-grandfather, who grows up to be a plantation owner. She travels back numerous times to save her own line by saving this white slave owner's life multiple times. And she's also there to be a witness to the atrocities of slavery and cannot control when she goes back and forth. Number 4 on this list is How to Live Safely in a Fictional Universe by Charles Yu. There's a lot of humor and voice in this story in which a time travel technician in Minor Universe 31 lives in a time travel pod. His job is to rescue people whose time machines have broken down and step in when they're about to alter their own timelines. The main character complains about his mediocre existence, and he goes to visit his mom, who is trapped in a continuous 1-hour loop in which she is always making dinner. And then he mourns his father, who invented time travel but then disappeared. Number 5, All Are Wrong Todays by Ilan Mastai. This first section of the book introduces us to our protagonist, Tom, and the history in his version of 2016, in which a 1960s experiment resulted in a big jump forward in technology. So we now have Jetsons-like environment, but in this world, Tom is a loser. His father invented time travel, but Tom can't get his act together. And then we jump back to the historical events in the 60s that shows where time traveling Tom shows up and changes history and is promptly then transported back to the current 2016. And it's our 2016. What a disappointment. There's no flying cars. There's no instant food generators. Everything is boring and slow, except for books and music and films are better. And so is Tom. His family doesn't suck, and neither does his career and his life. And inexplicably, he's called John instead of Tom. But of course, you can't leave well enough alone. Next up, 2 books about main characters in time loops where they keep being reborn with the memories of past lives, trying to fix something, and then dying and re-looping back to be born again on the same day and trying again. There was different tone and plots in these books, but they were very similar setup. The first is The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North, and the second was Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. I read these both in the same year. I enjoyed them both immensely, but I especially liked Life After Life, which ended up making a big old map of all of Ursula's many lives and their outcomes. Next up on this list, Here and Now and Then by Mike Chen. I really like Mike Chen, and I love this one. It's about a character named Ken Stewart, who is an everyday man working in IT, trying to keep the spark in his marriage, and he's struggling to connect with his teenage daughter, Miranda. But his current life is a far cry from his previous career as a time-traveling secret agent from 2142. Ken got stranded in suburban San Francisco since the 1990s after a botched mission. Ken has kept his past hidden from everyone around him, including his wife and his child, despite the increasing blackouts and memory loss affecting his time traveler's brain. until one afternoon, his rescue team arrives, 18 years later. Their mission to return Kin to 2142, where he's only been gone for a few weeks in their timeline, not the 18 years, and where another family is waiting for him, a family that he can't remember. All right, I love that one. Another one, The Ocean of Minutes by Thea Lim. This came out in 2018, before the pandemic, and it starts in September of 1981 with Polly and Frank arriving at the time travel terminal at the Houston Intercontinental Airport. One of them will travel and the other will stay because America's in the grip of a deadly flu pandemic. Frank has caught the virus and Polly will do whatever it takes to save him. She agrees to a radical plan. Time travel has been invented to the future, and they're trying to thwart the virus. They want her to sign up for a one-way trip into the future to work as a bonded laborer, and then the company will pay for the life-saving treatment for Frank. Frank's going to die if Polly doesn't do this. Polly promises to meet Frank again in Galveston when she will arrive in 12 years, but Polly is rerouted an extra 5 years in the future. So instead of going 12 years ahead, she goes 17 years ahead. And now she is alone in a changed and divided America with no status and no money. Polly must navigate a new life and find a way to locate Frank and discover if he is still alive and if their love is endured, because he was trying to meet her 5 years before and had maybe given up on her. We don't know. All right, number 10, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This is an odd one. Evelyn Hardcastle will die every day until Aidan Bishop can identify her killer and break the cycle. But every time the day begins, Aidan wakes up in a different body, one of the 8 guests, and there's 8 days to solve the murder. Some of his hosts are more helpful than others. Next up, an oldie, The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. This is a classic with the man who slips through time without any control of when he leaves and at what time in the timeline he travels to. That's interesting enough, but the main character is really the wife, the person that he leaves behind when he slips away, whom he visits when he can at various points in her life as he travels. And so the book had more than the movie versions did about the impact on her and their ability to have children and all these other things. That was really the impact of, hey, maybe a time traveler doesn't make the best husband, even though he's pretty hot and we like him. Okay, next up, 11/22/63 by Stephen King. This book is also alt history, as our time travel can return to the late 1950s, and he makes it his mission to try to prevent JFK assassination. But first, he's there too early. He has to earn a living and live a normal life and try not to get caught up in anything that would interfere with his mission. Oh yeah, and history fights back. History is sticky. Okay, next up, In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. I do like Rebecca Searle. She always writes a speculative element in her women's fiction book club type stories. And so this book is 95% women's fiction and 5% speculative, which happens right away in one of the first chapters, where our main character lives 1 hour of her life 5 years in the future. And then she returns and she's like, how the heck did all that change in 5 years? And then she needs to decide whether to try to stop that future from happening or whether to just enjoy the ride and know that she will be in a different place in 5 years. Number 14 on my list, The Second Chance Here by Melissa Weissner. This is another one as a women's fiction where the main character thinks that she's hit an all-time low when she manages to lose her job, her apartment, and her boyfriend all at one time thanks to her big mouth. Then she gets the chance to relive the last year of her life and change her fate and reverse the things that caused all that. And she agrees to do that. And then she's like, oh, maybe it'll happen, maybe it wasn't. And it doesn't happen until after she kisses her brother's best friend. Does she want to fix all those losses, or would she rather have stayed in the current year and figure out what happened next? We can't do this list without talking about the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon. This series needs no explanation, as it's a juggernaut with 9 books and a long-running TV series on Starz. Shortly after the end of World War II, British nurse Claire has a romantic getaway with her husband to the Scottish Highlands, and she accidentally falls through time and ends up in 1650 Scotland and into the arms of a strapping Scot named Jamie. I think the series would have been perfect if it had ended as a trilogy, and I think that's what they had originally planned, with Claire leaving during the Jacobite Revolution before the Battle of Culloden, and Claire leaving so that their baby would survive, and Jamie is doomed to die. But then in the 1960s, when their daughter that she raised with her bitter British husband is an adult, she dives into historical records, and Claire realizes that Jamie didn't die at Culloden. It was such a popular series, I could see why they would want to make another 3 books and get them well into the Revolutionary Revolutionary War, but I don't know if we can time travel enough to send that message back to the publishers that 9 is maybe too many. Next up, this one's a fun one, Landline by Rainbow Rowell. This one has a nostalgic feel, like with many of Rowell's works, with a contemporary couple who spend the holidays apart because the wife has a demanding job and their marriage is suffering. Then she calls her husband, who is visiting his family of origin with their kids, and he calls their family home's landline. But the person she's talking to is not her right now contemporary husband. It's the 20 years ago boyfriend. And talking to him reminds her why they fell in love in the first place. And she talks to him throughout the whole weekend, and her whole mindset changes. And then she realizes they don't even have a landline anymore. Next up, number 17, This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub. A woman travels back in time to her teenage self, always on her 16th birthday, and she makes a different choice on that day each time. And then she returns to her 50th birthday and sees what impact that choice had on her life and whether she wants to try again. Number 18, this one's YA, Opposite of Always by Justin Reynolds. When Jack meet at a party, bonding until sunrise over their mutual love of Fruit Loops and their favorite flicks, Jack knows he's fallen. They bond, and then Kate dies, and their story should be at an end. But Kate's death sends Jack back to the beginning, to the moment that they first meet. And Kate's there again, and she's healthy and happy and charming. And Jack isn't sure if he's losing his mind or if time travel is real. Still, if he has a chance to prevent Kate's death, he's gonna try. Another YA, Yesterday is History by Kosoko Jackson. It's a contemporary take on The Time Traveler's Wife, in which the author even references that book, with a teen traveling between the past and present while making tough decisions about life and facing serious illness. I love the tangible impact that the main character's parents had on his thoughts and feelings while they struggled between wanting the best for him and wanting their plan for him. 2 YA time travel stories that both involve teen girls, time travelers, and sailing ships. What? So first we have Passenger by Alexandra Bracken, and then we have Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Helig. Both of these have fun elements, and the favorite aspect of these two was the magical maps from the Girl from Everywhere. In their magical time traveling ship, were able to sail to any place and any time, even fictional, as long as they have an authentic map, but then they can only use each map once. Do you have a favorite recent time travel story that you'd recommend folks add to their TBR, their to be read list? I'm always searching for more time travel in my life. You can drop me a line, let me know. You can put a comment on this video with your recommendations for time travel stories. People are mostly looking for things in the last 5 years if they're looking for comp titles. Be sure to tune into this YouTube channel next week when I'll talk about writing a story with 2 or more timelines. This includes time travel, but also involves split timeline stories without a paranormal element. I've got tips and tricks for keeping your timelines logically consistent with both or more timelines, working for a common story purpose for a total story. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. I post new content every week. This is Miranda Darrow wishing you happy writing.